Right. What did you make of the match?
What do we make of the match?
Yeah. What were your opinions of the game?
It was a good game. We were Risley was unlucky on the fast breaks. We had a lot of fast breaks where we didn't manage to score. We lost the ball at the last minute. If we had managed the fast breaks better, then we probably would have won the game by probably the same amount of goals that we lost it. But it was a really good game. The defense was really strong. The team had a really good spirit. Everybody was very supportive with each other, and that's very important. It has been a difficult year for the team, and with our coach being off for some time due to an injury, and so we had a lot of ups and downs this year. It shouldn't happen, in the next season, hopefully.
Do you get much support? I mean, sorry, I should have asked you to introduce yourself first.
Okay, my name is Maria Seri. I'm a player for Risley Beagles, and I'm also the club secretary.
Right. Do you feel that the club and handball in general, especially the women's game, gets enough support from the Handball Association?
Well, the Handball Association does what they can. They delegate a lot of the work down to the clubs. So initially, the idea is to grow the sport at national level, but the England Handball Association is not such a big association. They cannot do that job all on their own. So they are delegating part of that work to the clubs. In the sense that they kind of impose rules to the clubs that they need to have a number of players, they need to have a certain categories, like they need to have players playing in one league and in another league, and all the clubs now need to develop the under 18 league as well. So they're all requirements to keep playing. Basically, if the clubs fail to do that, then they won't be allowed to play in the Super 8 league anymore. So they're kind of putting a lot of the responsibility down to the clubs. It's a bit tricky because the sport was never played very much in the country. It's growing now, but it needs to grow in the schools first to capture players at a young age, basically.
Does the sports foundations and sports bodies give enough support to developing handball?
I'm not able to answer that question, I'm afraid. I know that there are grants, all sorts of grants to develop the sport. I know a lot of local authorities provide these grants, for example. But the reality is, first of all, it needs to be developed at school level. They need to. Then there's gonna be a lot of infrastructure that is required, because as you can see, the course is quite large. And for example, our club is in West London, but we have been unable to find one single court in West London that can fit a handball course, and that's why we have to come all the way to East London. So obviously there's a matter of infrastructure, and that's not something cheap. That's not something that you can support a lot of things, but if the infrastructure is not there, then there's a big limitation already there. So it will grow over time, but it will take a bit of time.
Was the Olympics a lost opportunity to develop handball?
No, I don't think so. I think it was a great opportunity. I think they have developed. Handball quite a lot. They put a lot of attention and effort in trying to develop the sport for the Olympics. Unfortunately, all the handball authorities here in the country, after the players turn 18, there's nothing available for them. That's it, done. End of the career. When in actual fact, it's probably the beginning of the career. Should be the beginning, and for them, that's it. The country doesn't provide any support, as far as I'm aware.
Well, I covered handball about 4 years ago in Denmark, and
Yes.
it's a completely different sport there. It's much more supported, and
Yeah.
they have some of the best players in the world. And they had foreigners going over there. For example, Brazilian goalkeeper Chana Masson, who's represented her country quite a bit,
Yeah.
and also Elizabeth Pinedo,
Yeah.
who's of Spain,
Okay.
played over there. There are a couple of English players at a lower level there.
Yes.
And do you think that this is what is needed in order to develop the sport here? Do they need to go and play in countries like Denmark, or can they get enough ability and experience
No,
here?
they need to start from the roots. You need to develop the sport. This sport needs to be developed in the primary schools from the age of 6 or 8, anything between 6 and 10, I would say. Children need to start playing. Because, for example, now the EH is trying to capture teenagers, right? Develop the under 16 league. You're not going to catch a teenager, because the teenager, unless the teenager has been playing another sport, they can find some relationship with handball. But teenagers who never play a sport in their life, they're not going to start. They're not going to start a brand new sport, out of nowhere. So they need to start at a much younger age. And once you capture all these kids from schools, then you can form, you can try to capture these children and put them into clubs. And once the clubs grow, then we will be able to develop the sport. Once again, the infrastructure is a big issue, because the problem for young children, it has to be local to them.
I was more referring to the players who are older and were on the verge of representing their country and that type of thing. They're more ready to become professionals, but need to get to the next stage.
That's what I said. Here, everything stops at the age of 18, as far as I'm aware. I mean, the EHA, I think they provide a lot of support and a lot of grants, but then after the age of 18 is finished. So all the players, they're either forced to go abroad, anywhere, as you say, it could be Denmark, Norway, it could be Spain, it could be any country in Europe. Most of the countries, have professional handball, or just stop playing, or they can play in the local clubs. But then, obviously, the local clubs do not offer. It's an amateur sport here. They will never be able to compete with other clubs in Europe, or at least not professionally.
4 years ago, when I interviewed Chana Masson and Elizabeth Pinedo, both of them weren't really aware of handball in England. Is that a bit unfair, or is it reasonable of them not to know at that time? And has it changed
They
now?
weren't aware.
Yeah, they weren't aware.
Yeah, that's probably fair. Why would they be aware? I mean, the only people 95% of the people playing handball in England, they are foreigners who play handball in their countries, and they get together because they are passionate about the sport. I mean, I think there is maybe a couple of clubs up north that may have more English players, but then other than that, they're all foreigners. There are no English players, because they don't know the sport. And as I said, it has to be an effort that starts in a school level, which is when all the children get exposed to different sports.
The Olympics saw England, or not England exactly, actually Great Britain, finished last out of 12 with a goal difference of -75. Did that hurt the development of the sport, or was it a good thing that it was actually played and that they did actually play?
Yeah, I think it was a great thing that they play. I mean, because a lot of people, most of the people have no idea what handball was about until they saw it at the Olympics. So it was a really good thing to create awareness about the sport. And it's good because I know it's growing at the schools, and probably a lot of it has to do with the Olympics. It caught the eye probably of many PE teachers, and now they want to get their children to play too, and then that's how you start growing a sport.
How do you think the club structure is? The league has now got the Super 8 league.
Yes.
Is that helpful in terms of the development, or would it have been a different structure? The cup structure been working perfectly well.
Well, in terms of development, I mean, only 8 clubs is not enough, isn't it? It's not enough. It's 8 clubs only, and this is at national level, right? So we're talking in the whole country. There are only 8 teams. How can that be helpful? How can that develop a sport? No, it's not. It's not enough. But then, unless there are more people getting together, forming a club, and start playing the sport, then it won't happen.
Are there lower leagues, or is it just this one league?
There is a lower league. There's a development league, and there's a regional league. I think for the men there's, I think for the men there are 3 leagues, and for the women there are 2 leagues. One is the development league, which you have like girls who have less experience and who are learning to play the sport.
What would you like to see the sports authorities do to develop handball?
Sorry, say that again?
What would you like to see sports authority and the government do to develop handball in this country?
I think one thing that they could do in order to create awareness, because the only way to develop the sport is creating awareness, and then so they need to broadcast like certain games on the sports channels, or if I say the BBC is probably a bit too big, isn't it? But at least on the sports channels, and then people will start watching it. People will start taking interest on it, and people will start wondering, what is this all about? And it will attract people. But yes, one way is to create awareness, and that way for me it would be just to broadcast important games. Perhaps start showing. Most of the games happens. They first will start showing men's games because they are faster and they're better played than women's games. But once we start developing, then incorporate games from the girls as well. That would be great.
I understand you've got a Brazilian playing in your team.
We do have a Brazilian player, yes.
Brazil are currently the world champions. Does she help it in any way? Does that help?
No, not really. I mean, Brazil is a big country. I think Brazil probably might have a good 100 teams playing all across the country, because Brazil have like different regions as well. It's quite a large country, and Brazil is a professional sport. So you have all sorts of clubs who play professionally, clubs that play on an amateur basis, and across the country, I wouldn't be surprised if they had at least like 100 teams playing. And the thing is that everywhere in the world you start playing at a much younger age. So you start with all the categories. You start from the very junior ones, then you have all the categories that they go in 2-year stages, and then they move to the next category as they grow older, and that's what's missing in this country.
What I meant was that she would probably have had more coaching in Brazil and playing there, and come at the highest standard of play
Yes,
than
she probably did.
here. And does that help that she's got that?
She's been living in the country for more than 10 years now, so it probably helped them. But now, it's been a long time since she's been living in England.
Right, so she won't have had that much difference to.
Yeah, it doesn't really. Yeah.
Okay, your team. With the loss today, where does that leave you?
Where does it leave the team?
Yeah, in terms of development, their own development.
Well, it was, as I say, it was a very positive match, even though we lost. The result wasn't in our favor, and we are gonna keep working on that. And it's just basically we are in very good spirits. We are happy that we had a good performance today, even though the result and yeah, we're gonna carry on working on it.
How long do you think it will take for handball in Britain to reach the standard of not say Denmark, but Spain, for example, or Slovenia?
20 years probably. It depends. 10 to 20 years at least. At least. They don't even have the infrastructure, and that could support you. So, yeah, I mean, we are departing from. We don't have the basic stuff available. So, yeah, it's gonna be difficult.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome. Is that everything from you?
Sorry?
Is that everything from you?
Yeah, that's
okay.
it. Thanks. Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thanks.
Where is this going to appear? In a sports magazine, you said, or?
Yeah, I've got to switch this off, but it doesn't seem to want to switch off for some reason. Oh, that's